Welcome to, I'm probably sure, the last comic book collection video that I have for the Humble Comic Book Collection series. In the future, I may have a modest collection and we'll go through that. But until then, for now, for quite a while, this is my comic book collection, and I'm going to be finishing it off here, sort of, with various DC books, miscellaneous DC books, and we're going to start off with Batman here. So if you haven't seen the previous parts, I forgot to say aloha, half a day. And we're going to start off with, or we're going to go through DC books, various DC books that I have. And we started off with Thor in the first part. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check that out. Second part, we went through various Captain America issues here, as you can see. And if you haven't checked that out, that's a real good video. That has quite a few views. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you all. And after that, we did miscellaneous Marvel. So we did various Marvel issues such as Dakota North, Alien, so on and so forth. Then we did DC and Image, and now we're doing the remaining DC books. I also have like 2 or 3 Image books that were just floating around that I have to show off, so I'll show that off towards the end here. Starting off, though, we got Batman. This is part of the Infinite Frontier line. This is issue 106. This was the return of Batman. He was on basically a 4-month or so hiatus from, I believe it was either November or December of 2020 until about February or March. I think it was March of 2021. So I don't know how many months that is. I'm not good at math. 3 or 4 months, whatever. And that was the break to kind of give people the next Batman series. That was what it was called. And it kind of ties directly into this, just like the Swamp Thing series. But unlike the Swamp Thing Future State books, I really can't say that it's worth reading. More than just because I think that the Batman Future State books, quality-wise, weren't good. But on top of that, I think that it's much more definitively unneeded compared to the Swamp Thing. If you watch the last part, which you definitely should, I went over how the Future State Swamp Thing books, how you can read those and you may get some foresight that could be useful later on in the series, but we don't know for sure if it's going to be useful. It's set, 1,000 years after, or 1,000 years or a few hundred years, something like that, after the Swamp Thing books that are currently still running past the Infinite Frontier line. This, however, takes place only a few years later and really kind of focuses on a completely different person, than Batman. It focuses more on Bruce Wayne than anything. So I really don't know if you'd want to read it. If it sounds interesting, look into it. Maybe you'll find it interesting. I certainly didn't. But on top of that, I thought the writing was really poor, and the elements that do carry over to this are all not good, and you don't need to read. Basically, you don't need to read those books at all. And on top of that, it's not quality, so I don't know why you'd want to. In terms of this series, the Infinite Frontier series, what am I thinking of it in terms of Batman? It's okay. It started off not too good with issue 106, but it kind of improved definitely once we got to 107 here. Yeah, so once we got to, Ghostmaker, and once we got to Ghostmaker and I believe the Scarecrow is the villain there, things kind of picked up a bit. I covered this series quite a bit in previous pulls and pickups. If you want to go and check those out, I'll try and put a link up somewhere in the top right to, tell you more about these if you're interested, where I break it down kind of page by page. But overall, they're okay. It's a pretty decent series for what it is, but at a $5 price tag compared to $4, it's pushing into the territory of something I may drop if the quality doesn't, either stay where it is or drop down. If it drops down any or doesn't, keep where it is, I may drop the book. It's okay for what it is, though. Decent villains here and there, and it is somewhat interesting, the things that we're progressing into. We haven't gotten to full Future State. I'm not a fan of where the book's heading, basically, because I'm not a fan of what will be a few years from in the Batman timeline, but who knows how long it'll actually take them to get to that point. But before we get to that point, the inevitable kind of downfall of this run, if we even make it that far, who knows? They might just kind of hop out. I don't know. It seems like other people are pretty mixed on it as well. Some people really like the Future State kind of timeline that's going on, because it's not like we really dropped it. We're just kind of a few years before those events happen and kind of the connective tissue is forming to kind of evolve the series into what we already know it's going to become. But since I don't like what it's going to become, I'm really just kind of waiting out the book, right? I'm getting what I can out of these issues until it gets to that point. If it gets to that point, again, we don't know though. It's supposed to take like 2 or 3 years in their timeline to get to that point, but we don't actually know what the writers are planning. It seems as if they're speeding things up at a much faster pace. So in 6 months or 8 months, we might already be at that point. So I don't know for sure. And we got Miracle Molly, first appearance of a new character here that's kind of a rebellious punk that's trying to fight back against the system along with Batman against the kind of imperialistic, futuristic force that is slowly taking over Gotham, that has fully taken over Gotham in the Future State books. So again, it's supposed to be a few years beforehand, but it feels like it's already 6 issues away from getting to that point. So who knows what's actually going to happen. It's kind of a developing process, of still trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do and how soon I'm going to hop off the book and so on. But for now, I'm sticking to it. And I have some new issues as well, but we'll get to that. I mean, actually, I'll do, I won't do Wonder Girl yet. I don't know why Wonder Girl was sandwiched in between these. So I'll do Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries, the other Batman books I have in single issue form. This was more my speed. And this first issue basically details the Batman basically details the Scooby-Doo gang going back in time to Batman Year One, which is a great book. I'll pull it. So here I'll let you guys kind of see and compare to Batman Year One. But basically the Scooby-Doo gang has to help Batman find his purple gloves, and they've been lost in time back in Batman Year One. So there's various time shenanigans, and there's a little bit of a twist towards the end involving time travel, and it's quite cool. But really the standout is just seeing these fun cartoon characters in a book that was so long ago, right? Batman Year One was like the, late 80s, I believe, 80, I'm not going to try and guess, 86 or 89, I guess I just did guess. And as you can see, what's real cool is that they're kind of sort of in the art style, not really, but I mean, there's aspects of the art style that carries over. And when you compare the way the Year One world looks versus the world before they time travel, it's pretty cool. So here we see them there, and then let me pull out Year One. I mean, it's different for sure, but yeah. I mean, but you have those thicker lines, and you have it's not the same, sadly, but there are a few comparisons you could see in terms of I don't know. I'll let you decide. But here's Batman Year One. If you want to see me cover this, definitely click the card in the top right. I did a whole video on it. One of my favorite videos I've done so far. Quite a good one, and talk about kind of both why I enjoy it, but I'd also say it's a bit overrated. I actually prefer The Long Halloween, but that's just me. And here we have, again, it's not really the same art style, but as far as I remember, maybe I'm wrong, it looks as if the art style changed just a little bit between, maybe not. Actually, maybe not. Never mind, whatever. Nonetheless, it was cool to see them travel back to such an infamous book. And issue 2, I'll show you guys in a minute. I have issue 3 as well. I'll show that off once I get to the pickups videos, which will come after this. But issue 2 involves the Joker and is basically a gang of clowns that helps the Joker out. They're trying to cause shenanigans, and they steal another one of Batman's trinkets. I think they break into his I think they break into his hideout and everything and try and rob him, something like that. And the Scooby-Doo gang basically has to help Bruce Wayne pick up the pieces and be detectives and figure out what the mystery is. And they're not long issues, they're not too complex or anything like that, but they're fun for what they are. I was going to try and pull up another shot here to compare, but I don't know. Watch my video on Batman Year One. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, a little segue there. segue, or what would you say, little advertisement there. I'm going to slip this back in the case later, so we'll just keep moving along here. I'll show you the cover to Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue 2, but to see more, definitely check out my Pickups videos where I go over issue 3. Here's issue 2, as I was talking about, with the Joker gang stealing various things from, again, Batman's hideout, I believe. I think that's the plot. I could be a little wrong, but that's the gist of it, at least. And we're going towards the end here. We have a New Talent Showcase, issue 12. I actually did a video. Yeah, it was on this one. Did a video on this one as well, so hopefully I put a card in the top right. You only get 5 cards, though, so it is what it is. This is a real fun issue. I won't open this up. If you want to see more, though, definitely check out that video, but it's an anthology series. The New Talent Showcase was a way for DC to highlight, who guessed it, new talent. And that new talent were various upstarts and writers that they didn't necessarily want to trust on their main books, but they wanted to kind of give a chance to, spread their wings. Some of these, as far as I know, are various stories that, didn't become much, but they just kind of wanted to throw them in. It's very similar to Mangazine. Mangazine is basically an indie kind of low profile stuff from Japan, which I'll show off in just a little bit here. And along with that, we also, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, also it's similar to Marvel's series. What was Marvel's series that did that? It's very similar, I believe. I'm trying to remember what it was. I forget if I talked about, I forget. I thought Marvel did something similar for a time, or I had some reference that was going to be similar to that, but whatever. Fun series for what it is, and every issue is kind of is better or worse. It's kind of hit or miss in terms of its quality. But if you enjoy the kind of writing style of this era, I think you'll enjoy the books. That's really what you have to, because the stories, of course, since they're random indie artists and writers. And the stories can vary so wildly, you kind of never know what you're going to get. But if you enjoy the general style of this era and you're in the mood for something kind of unique, these definitely do the job. They can be found for super cheap. $1, I think, is what I got these for. 50 cents and $1, I think, mostly. And they were more expensive when they came out at $1.25. So when you can get a comic for cheaper than it was when it came out, and it's not from the modern era where things are like $4, when back in the day, when things were, $1.50, $1.25, $1, and you can get it for less than that, that's always basically a no-brainer in my mind. And these, in my mind, are a no-brainer, a way to fill out the collection and just try out some things and just kind of some fun light reading. What's interesting is this is issue 13. The last one was issue 12. I have a few of these here, and this first story I remember reading. I could actually do a whole nother video on this. If anybody wants me to do a whole video on this, definitely tell me. But this first story is a multi-part drama, basically about the pros of birth control. The whole thing about a young woman being swept off her feet by a man that was supposed to basically, how would you put this, save her from her past life and kind of be her salvation. But as you hopefully know, maybe not, many people don't suggest, especially, relationship counselors and things, suggest that you get your own problems worked out before you try and find someone else. Love isn't about having the other person solve all your problems. It's a give and take kind of relationship, and you can't expect your whole life to be turned around just by finding someone that you enjoy being with, right? Most people don't want to have your baggage, I guess. And that's kind of the whole plot of the story, having a kid with someone that she slowly falls out of love with, that kind of thing. It's very sad, but interesting. Next up, though, we have a very short, 4-page story about a mother that has to be both a mother and a superhero. Just kind of a cheesy, weird, bite-sized story. Yeah, what was that, 3 pages? You got this page, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 pages in total. And then there's another story here that's basically kind of like they lose a ball in a woman's yard and have to well, don't really have to. Here's a cool advertisement from back in the day. I'll actually show that off in a minute. But they gotta sneak into this woman's house and steal their ball back. This old lady's house that won't give it back to them. That's kind of fun. And we have a few other stories like that. Got letter pages here. Oh yeah, and we got 21st century AD, The Beast Within. This is the second part to the story that came in the last issue, right here. And that's probably the highlight. Well, actually, no, I think the time travel story in this is actually the highlight. This is the second best story in here. There's about 5. This book also has about 5 or so stories, and this is the highlight here. If you definitely want to continue the story from issue 12, I'd recommend this. Between the issues I've read, though, I'd say issue 12 is probably the strongest that I read. Very cool plot. And yeah, I think that's about the gist of it. I don't have to go through every one. I guess it's the last story, though. Yeah, it looks like that's the last story. Here's a cool advertisement that I see in various issues. It's fun. Different Saturday morning cartoons that you should check out. You got Snorks and Alvin and the Chipmunks, Smurfs. What is it? Spider-Man. What's his name? Mr. T. There you go. Got Mr. T. I love that monkey's face. Anyways, so there's that. If you want to see a video where I break down each story and basically do a synopsis and kind of like not really a read-along, but sort of, definitely tell me. Here's issue 17. I've only read, I think, like the first story of this or something, if anything. But anyways, here's that cover. I love that cover. We're jumping forward to issue 17. That's 4 issues later, but still very similar. The whole series didn't run for very long, as far as I know. There's a cool advertisement I've seen before. And the series ran for, what was it, like 22 issues, something like that. I'll probably put something on screen to illustrate that. I like the kind of unique, not really unique, but varying art style here. And that's about it. A very wildly different stories, as you can tell from both the last issue and this. You got kind of like looks like detective kind of crime story. It's actually quite long. But you have like alien shenanigans going on up here. And the previous books, as I talked about, had like a drama that's like real life drama. They had like kids stories that are like kind of like Archie, Goonies kind of stuff. And then you had other ones that were involved like various types of time travel, kung fu kind of weird cyber tales, all sorts of stuff. So definitely check these out if you're interested and this stuff sounds interesting to you. And I believe that's the end of, so I'm going to, what am I going to do? I have a few more DC books that aren't new pickups, but are things that I haven't either showed off yet, or, most of these are things I haven't showed off, but should be in the long box, but aren't, basically. So we have the Swamp Thing issue 4. I forgot to cover that before with the other Swamp Thing issues, but I'll put it in here instead of my pickup series that will show off all the new issues I get, because this was quite a while ago. This wasn't really a new pickup that I haven't read or anything. And I read through this. This is a pretty decent, I believe it's conclusion. Pretty decent conclusion to the story arc that started in issue 3. Better than issue 3, not as good as the first or second issue, but that's just because I'm not crazy about this arc in particular. The Swamp Thing gets stuck in the green is what it's called. Gets stuck in the green in the 3rd issue, and along with his possibly love-to-be, his woman that he's interested in, she also gets sucked into all this, and through that is, she's able to see what's true. She's able to see the Swamp Thing as who he truly is, and realize that all of this stuff that he's talking about in terms of these visions and nightmares and stuff are actually all true. And along with that, we get some more developments in terms of the various types of beings and entities that exist in the green, and kind of some foreshadowing into what may happen in the future in forthcoming issues involving government entanglement. And that's all I'm going to say for sure, partially because I don't remember everything because I read it months ago, but also because, you gotta read it. And let me pause this. Oh, we almost forgot. Good thing this is like a miscellaneous series, geez. Or miscellaneous episode, really, where I just kind of go through various things. I forgot Wonder Girl. I also picked up issue 2. I shouldn't be spoiling my pickup series, but I got to cover that in pickups. It's something I haven't read yet, so that's part of the reason I'm doing that, and it's kind of separate. It's somewhat newer. I got more stuff to say about it, and it's not really part of my core collection. This I've already showed off. A lot of these I've already showed off. It's the series kind of blend into each other. That's why I'm doing them back to back. But it is what it is. Wonder Girl issue 1 is pretty decent in terms of it actually being a comic. It's pretty decent, but it's really just a byproduct of an era that I'm not really too big of a fan of. This modern era and the trends that come along with that, accompany that. And it's not as if, all issues from one era are bad or good or what have you, but there's trends throughout the various decades of comics that you can kind of see through this series and that I've started to notice. And each decade has good things and bad things about it. The bad things about this era kind of bug me quite a bit, mostly involving the pricing and the way that stories are generally written nowadays doesn't really match with the high price tag for me personally. So many series, including this, are so expanded. They're so decompressed and like movies or like a TV show, like a long-form TV show. And that's fine if you've kind of already been invested in the comic book or they give you enough to kind of justify the issue, but this just doesn't do that. Issue 1s especially, it's not good later on either, but especially issue 1s really need to pull you in. They really need to, have something to sink your teeth into and really understand what you're going to be buying for the forthcoming issues. And there just wasn't enough here for me to get excited and want to spend another $4 for issue 2, see if I like it, spend another $4 possibly for issue 3 just to see if I like it. It's too much money, right? I shouldn't have to spend $8 to $12 just to figure out if I like a series. For that much money, you're close to being able to buy a volume of some manga, right? It's just unreasonable to put that much pressure on people to spend that much. And it's not as if I want to necessarily throw the series away and be like, oh, I'm not going to read it. But at the same time, I don't want to support those kinds of business practices. For what's here, it's pretty decent, right? And it gives you a very small taste of what's to come, but it's not enough of a taste. I like it, but I can't tell you if that taste is enough to really say whether I should keep reading it or not. I love the cover, one of the best covers I've seen in this year so far. Very cool there with all the various kind of foreshadowed elements in the background mixed together with varying shades of blue that kind of mixed with the white and splatter up above there. Super cool. And of course you got Wonder Girl there making a very striking illuminating pose, whatever, that directs your attention towards the book. I love all that. And the colors of her skin and her outfit contrast quite well with different sheens of colors in the background. But that's not enough, again, to make me want to read the series and continue. So I picked up issue 2. We'll see after I read issue 2 if I should keep going. Are you guys reading it? I want to know if anybody here is reading the series past that. I think we're on issue 3 or 4 now. So if anybody's read that far, if anybody's been following the series and can tell me why I should, then definitely tell me. And that's it for DC books here, I think. I'm going to pause this and come back and tell you if there's anything more. I think this might be the end of this video. This would be short, though. So before I transition to, this will be kind of like my overflow of DC and Image stuff that I didn't cover in the last part 4, I believe. So before I show off all that, let's finish DC off with some posters. I only have 2 little poster preview, whatever they are, DC Connect things. But I just wanted to show this off real quick. See, we have Wonder Girl once again. It's hard to show all of that in view here, but I liked it so much I got these. It was completely free, which is nice, at my comic book store, so I just wanted to show that off real quick. And then we also have an Infinite Frontier kind of advertisement, promo or whatever. I actually like to maybe hang these up sometime, but it's a whole nother tangent. I have so many posters, yet I have nowhere to really put them because I'm not in a good position to kind of set up a room because I may be moving. It's a whole thing. It's another story for another day when that happens. When it happens, I'll do a whole video probably on me moving and how that will affect this these various series possibly, but whatever. There you go. We're moving on to Image. Okay, so look at this baby. This is my overflow, my extra books here that don't necessarily fit. This puppy over here, out of view a little bit, is just filled to the brim, and I try to fit a few more issues in that I put away in between this cut, but really this is kind of, I'm running out of space. I need another long box, or that's a short box. Yeah, I need another short box. I could get a long box. Long boxes, don't they fit? What is it? Actual comic people here will know, but some people on my channel don't watch that. So the box I showed you before, that's a BCW book. It's something, hold on. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the acronym means, whatever. The point is that that is a short box, not as big as a long box. Long box is about double the size. These hold about 150 issues, 120 issues, something like that. A long box holds about double that, so 240 to 300 as far as I'm aware, but that can very much vary on what kind of comic you're holding in it, the thickness of the comic, if you have it with backed and board or not, all that kind of stuff. So generally, if I was to give a rough estimate, I probably fit about 120 or so in my short box here, going off of my Comic Geeks account, but whatever. Here we have my overflow. We're going through Image now, and then I think I'll just end the video there. It'll be a little shorter than the last few parts, especially the last part, but that's okay. Plane. Nocterra issue 1, pretty good series for sure. Issue 1 definitely hooked me. It's not fantastic. I love that cover though, but it definitely is a very solid series. It's a bit too predictable in my opinion, but definitely something to look into if the series is of interest to you. And if you want to know more details, definitely check out some of the past videos I've done on it. These pulls and pickups normally in the thumbnail, I'm running out of cards to put on screen here. I can only put 5, but you can maybe, check some links below. I'll try and post some links to different pulls and pickups you should check out. But on top of that, just generally, if you look on my channel, the pulls and pickups series, it's all in a playlist. And when you scroll through, you'll see both when these series were new, you'll see when I picked them up. So like if the issue came out in, March, well, check the pulls and pickups that came out in March. But on top of that, oftentimes in the title, I'll say what series is in it, so as many as I can fit in the title. And also in the thumbnail, you'll see, the picture of the comic oftentimes. So, zoom in a little bit, check out the thumbnail, see if you see Nocterra, and check out those. Also, hopefully, maybe I could put a card up there somewhere or put something in the description. But it's a pretty decent series for what it is. It's the Terra, the land is eternally nocturnal, and in this darkness that has fallen over the world that they live in. This darkness isn't just ordinary darkness. It's, what was it? I was gonna quote SpongeBob there. This is just normal dark, whatever. This darkness has turned various beings into, and can turn any living creature into, otherworldly entities. And these otherworldly entities have a taste for human flesh. And through all this, you basically get a survival kind of zombie plot mixed with, how would you put that? Mixed with almost like an Alan Wake kind of story where like you have to avoid the darkness, the creatures in the darkness, and anything that's in there for too long will become possessed, so to speak. And it's interesting for what it is. Definitely, what we've seen this all before, right? We've seen the whole thing about avoiding the darkness, literally. We've seen zombie kind of survival things a ton in comic books, even by Image, obviously, with The Walking Dead, which we'll get to in a minute. Again, I have more Walking Dead issues I found. I know I should have planned ahead a little bit more, but a lot of this stuff I can't fit in the long box anyways, but whatever. It is what it is. But this series is good for what it is, and although it's, we've all seen it before. Oh, that was issue 3. Jeez, got a little out of order. That's issue 3. This is issue 2. Although it's stereotypical, it's by Scott Snyder, so it's a little, how would you... like his films, I've mostly just seen his films. It's very kind of on the nose and thinks it's bigger than it really is. But outside of that, it's good for what it is and enjoyable, I think. The real question will be not whether this series is worth following. It is currently, but I really wonder if it will remain good, if it will kind of simmer out as time goes on, or if it will continue to keep me engaged, because it feels kind of like we're reaching I've read a little further than issue 3 here, and I'll show those in pickups, some of the newer issues that I don't think I've showed off in a Pulse and pickups yet. Past issue 3 I'll show off later, but from what I've read, it really seems as if we're getting to a good point to like stop the series in a few issues, and we're only like 6 issues in, so it's like if we're almost done in a few issues, then shouldn't this just been a limited series, right? It has potential. The world is so interesting. It has potential to be much more than just a short 10-issue, 12-issue series, but that's kind of what it feels like it's going to. And if Scott Snyder actually plans on, making this a epic, long-form story like it should be, he really needs to start introducing more complex elements. He really needs to start introducing more plot threads, because we're running out of road, basically, to drive on. And, the trip shouldn't be over yet, because the bus is packed with a lot of goodies, but we're running out of road. We're running out of concepts to dive into, because not enough plot threads are kind of unraveling fast enough. But that's just my opinion. Moving over to crossover, I actually showed this off in the very first Pulls and Pickups. So you can go back all the way to there if you really want to see how my wording and everything was at the very first Pulls and Pickups. It was Pulls and Pickups number 0, because it was only half the video was pickups. The other half was a review of Thor Essentials. But here we have crossover. Very early I picked it up, and very early I dropped it. It's not like it's badly done, but it's just something that wasn't very engaging to me. It's about on issue 9, somewhere around there now, and it's not like it's bad. Donny Cates is the writer here, and Donny Cates is a really quality writer. He knows what he's doing for sure, but feels like something else is missing. I don't know if it's necessarily that he wasn't given enough time. I don't know if it's just him not being able to write this kind of story, or what it is. Seems like he should be able to. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like there's just a little thing that's missing there, and that thing that's missing, I can't tell for sure what it is, but it might be the pacing. But it doesn't hook me. It's about the comic world invading into the human world, and racism and segregation becoming the byproduct of this cataclysmic collision. The comic world invading into the human world and superheroes being real seems all like a good idea, but it becomes chaos, because in the real world it wouldn't work, right? People would hunt down superheroes and try and use them. The government would try and use them as weapons and all sorts of stuff. So those kind of concepts are what crossover is all about. And there's a lot kind of racial, what would you say, references and kind of symbolism behind people trying to segregate the ones that are from the comic book world and the ones that aren't, and trying to keep them in their own kind of world and separated from humans, thinking that they're lesser beings, and that they're dirty, and so on and so forth, just like America and various parts of the world are with various races. So it's racism, but with comic book characters. And it's not a bad idea, not a bad way to kind of illustrate that. Did I? I taped, geez, I don't know what happened. It's taped wrong. It's open here. I don't know if I particularly care. I guess I can fix that. I don't know. I'll fix that later. But here's issue 3 here. I got issue 2 digitally because I couldn't find issue 3 physically. But it's just wasn't really my thing particularly. If the concept sounds interesting, you can certainly give it a shot. But I can't really say if the series will have much legs, because it's more than just me that seems to be saying that. My comic book shop, at least, I don't know about anybody else's, but my comic book shop seems to have an overflow of issues, and not just early on. It's not too uncommon for comic book comic store owners to, overstock early issues because they don't anticipate this. They anticipate the series being bigger than it really is. But for me in my comic book shop, it's crazy because we're all the way up to like issue 8 or whatever, and each issue it seems like he still has an overflow. So either the series isn't as popular, it's declining sales wise each issue, and my comic shop owner can't. My local comic book shop owner, I guess he can't seem to adjust the stock right, or the series keeps dipping in sales. And I kind of have a worry that it keeps dipping in sales. You know, I'm one of the many. I pulled out. So if I'm pulling out and it doesn't seem to be selling well at my shop, I kind of have a bad feeling that it's not going to last for too long. But who knows? Cybernary. I haven't read yet. Kind of an interesting mid 90s, as far as I know, series, basically involving a war. What is he? Is he a veteran soldier? That's various technological elements occur, and he's turned into a vehicle for pain, a weapon of the government to hunt down various criminals and terrorists in the Middle East. That's the plot, as far as I'm aware. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. The art's pretty cool. I've flipped through it, but if you want to see me cover this in its own video, I'll definitely do a read through of this issue and the second issue I'll show off here. Maybe read third or fourth online, and I could definitely talk about the series if you guys are interested. But certainly cool art. That's mainly why I picked it up. Like, oh, earlier Image series, kind of mid-90s, cool art. Sure, I'll pick it up. I got it for like 50 cents, so you can't. That's a steal in my book. Cheaper than it was when it came out. Again, that's how you know. That's how you know you got something good. I actually missed a few Walking Dead issues for some weird reason. They are in here and not in there. I should put it with the rest of the Walking Dead issues and put some of the. If I have to move some issues down, I'll just move the later issues in that other box into here. But whatever. Nonetheless, despite my bad organization skills, I have a few more Walking Dead issues. We got issue 3 here. He finally reunites with his family, and various zombies invade their camp. This is quite early on, as you can tell, but that was really when things started getting going, for sure. And here we have basically the pinnacle scene of this issue 6 is the cover. So I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but I'm showing it nonetheless. I like that vibrant red there. And, definitely by issue 6, you could tell that we were in for a pretty crazy ride. And is that it for, let me see here. Yes, that is it for Image titles, Image and DC. Moving on next, we have some overflow of Marvel issues, along with some stuff that I haven't showed off yet that I don't know if I necessarily want to have as pickups. So I'll just kind of, some of this stuff I've showed, some of this stuff I haven't, but I have various Marvel issues to go through in the next next video. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, tell me. If you didn't like the video, also tell me. If you see anything in these parts that you want to see me do a video on their own, be sure and tell me. Be sure and tell me in the comment section below, because I'd love to do it for you. And that's about all I have. Thank you for watching, and aloha.